Most people who play the wonderland.jar think they're playing a horror mod about creepy dimensions. They're not. What you're actually doing is walking into something that was already finished before you loaded into the world. The trap was set, the players were already inside, and whatever built it has been watching you since the first night. 25 dimensions and 32 entities. But none of that matters if you don't understand what this mod is actually about. So let's talk about what the Wonderland really is, where it came from, what happened to the people already inside of it, and the questions nobody has answered yet. My name is Ty, and if you like this type of content, leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and get some snacks, cause you're gonna wanna watch this until the end. Before anything else, we need to understand what we're dealing with. The entities in this mod are monsters nor creatures. There's something the lore calls immigons. The full name is Imagonivus obscurus, which roughly translates to image feeders. They feed on the image of whatever role they take. The more completely they fill that role, the more powerful they become. Think about what that means. If you take a role of a demon and you fill it completely, you become almost untouchable. That's the entity. It chose the most powerful image available, Satan himself, and it's been feeding off of it ever since. This also explains something that confuses most players. Why the silver cross works on some entities but not the others. The cross works because most immigons are fake demons, and the demon archetype has a built-in reaction to holy symbols. That reaction is baked into the role they took. They cannot override it, but the entity can, because it took the highest image. Same with the Wonder Tree and the Sphere. There's one more thing the lore says, and I want you to actually read this. The more attention you give them, the more real they become. The entity is known in the lore as Abnormality 11, the third strongest immigon in the entire hierarchy. It has 3 eyes, each tied to a different point in time, past, present, and future. Whether that's literal or a metaphor, nobody knows. But what we know is what it does. Before the mod's main events, a researcher documented in the lore as Diamond 798 found the entity and tried to contain it inside something called Secure Build Number 2. It fought back, and it escaped. And at some point after that, it started running what can only be described as an operation. It finds people, manipulates them, and gets them to build structures that act like beacons, drawing other people in without ever realizing what they're doing. And then, when it has everyone at once, it digitalizes them. Digitalization is the entity's unique ability, and no other immigon can do it. Here's how it works. It enters your dreams when a time moves slower, so it has enough time to torture a person completely before they wake up. By the time it's done, it creates a copy of the soul, an image built entirely from the person's suffering and memory. Seeing the entity twice in waking life is enough to drive someone insane. They die of a heart attack in their sleep, and the copy of their soul gets trapped inside Wonderland forever. The former players you can encounter in this mod are not ghosts. They're replicas made of everything that person felt before they died, and they can still feel everything. It started with 7 players. They called themselves the Wonderful Gang, and for a while it was exactly that, friends, on a server. Then it wasn't. Mind was the first to see it. Nobody knows what happened during that encounter, but Mind had schizophrenia, BPD, and severe intrusive thoughts. Whatever the entity did to him, he knew exactly where to push. At some point, Mind and Fate built a totem together on the server. The lore, confirmed by Diamond 798's records, tells us that the entity had manipulated Mind into building a beacon, a structure that drew everyone else in. Every death that followed traces back to that moment. Mind survived the longest. The entity kept appearing in his dreams, torturing him instead of killing him. When he finally died, he woke up in torture, but he tried to escape and ended up in the answer dimension. He is your mind now. He mimics your armor, your username, and the item you have in your hand. He sends messages in windings that decode to "You should not be here," and go away. Fade XX02 loved Minecraft creepypastas, especially Herobrine. He had a friend outside the gang, a player named 01 Gortion, who he helped through difficult times, but he got bullied by others and pushed to the edge of the group. Inside the mod's files, there's a file called fate.txt. It describes how Fate dreamed of being pulled into the Wonderland. In that dream, he saw his friends being tortured. He might have been the one who caused it, or he might have been completely innocent. The lore deliberately leaves that unclear. What isn't unclear is what happened next. The digitalized prints of his dead friends tore his arm off. He became the Fate. No arms, stretched body, still there. And Gortion, the friend that Fate helped, became the Pillar, a 6-block black entity that stands still until you look at it. When it opens, it fills your screen and it spams a message in hex code. I love blocks, dying in his sleep and woke up in a breakaways. No one else, just a labyrinth and a crystal block he found. He stared at it constantly. It was the only comfort he had. The demons in that dimension were displeased. He wasn't suffering correctly, so they gouged his eyes out and sewed the socket shut. The cruelest part, he can still see the block. An hallucination of the only thing that kept him sane, playing on a permanent loop. And when you break the crystal to escape, you're taking the last thing he has. Richie Dude 2001 got mocked for liking diamond blocks. That's it. That was the reason the group pushed him away. He built everything in private after that, a full collection he was genuinely proud of. Then he stopped recognizing his own face in reflections, lost his mind, and became violent. He's now the hoarder in the vault. His friends stole from him while he was AFK. He might have been the only former player who explored Wonderland voluntarily, alone, while everyone else was dying. Spawn saw the entity and ran, quit the game entirely. Eventually he came back and saw it again, ran into the forest and never came back. He's in the mossy cobblestone maze now. The warning signs around him say don't leave. He is lonely. No one was driven to his breaking point and took his own life. His throat is damaged from how he died. That's why the speech comes out backwards. Sorrow's fate is unknown. He appears mostly in the crying position, hands covering his face and doing nothing. Then there's another group, a different server, a different time. Carrier has no arms and drags itself through the tunnels. Players have documented actual words buried in the audio. This is the only entity in this mod documented to have a real voice, and it's using it to beg. Helpless is the most disturbing one. He was 9 years old. He wandered aimlessly and explodes when you get too close. He's not aggressive, he just doesn't know where he is. The 25 dimensions in this mod aren't random levels, they're places where the former players ended up. Brick walls, Isle of Blocks, the vault, Richie, Answer, Your Mind, Torture, the entity's maze. Wonderland itself is described in the lore as an eternal realm connected both to the virtual world of Minecraft and the real world. There's a semi-linear path to the mod. Sequence leads to Wonderland, which branches into everything else. This means we're tracing the path that others walked before us, the exits they found, and the dimensions they got lost in. The books in these places aren't game hints, they're the last thing those people wrote. The entity is the third strongest immigon in the hierarchy. Third, two sit above it, and they never appeared on the mod. Creator also hasn't given them a name. We already consider the entity as nearly unstoppable, and it's not even at the top. Then there's Herobrine. He's an official lore, explicitly named, and he doesn't fall under demon or angel category. He's classified as something separate entirely. Nobody has explained what this means. One more thing, this mod has a weird connection to a Russian ARG, a YouTube channel called Fin diaries. When you watch the channel, the resemblance to Wonderland is undeniable. The same entities, the same liminal space. It predates the mod. Alexander 25 was paying attention to something that was already out there. And Richie, his death has never been confirmed in the lore. He left messages across dimensions. He was in places nobody else documented. Whether he found anything, the lore hasn't said.